There are four major eras that we can define society by: the oral or tribal era, the scribal era, the modern era, and the era we are currently in, the postmodern era. During the tribal era, there was a heavy reliance on memory because you could only communicate orally. Community was communal, where the primary social group was the village. There was no sense of individuality that we are used to today. Instead, you were part of the community, part of a bigger picture. You were responsible for others, and they were responsible for you because they were all connected to you and vice versa. Moving into the scribal era, we see the emergence of written language and how society changed because of this. Although people were becoming literate, many were still illiterate and therefore relied on the church for their knowledge. Individuality started to emerge with the introduction of the printing press. Mass production of different literature was rapidly widespread, which also standardized knowledge in Europe. Community was based either around church or a hierarchy that was brought on by this written language. Yet notions of individuality were rising as literacy spread. This brings us into the modern era. Industrialization followed the model of mass production. Newspapers, radio, television, and film also brought this notion of mass communication to the public. Individuality becomes very widespread due to the diversity of social roles, and people acquire their own unique perspective on the world. People started to move from their tight-knit rural communities in favor for the city where industry thrived. People start to rely more on media as their sense of community rather than those around them. We first saw the emergence of the postmodern era during the counterculture of the 60s and 70s, but it was with the rise of the internet that we really start to see a drastic change in how our society functions. Community, thought of as something in the past, is starting to flourish thanks to the internet. The individual, shaped from the modern era, is now trying to find communities they can identify themselves with. Many look to the internet in order to connect with others who share interests and passions. They become involved with fandoms. YouTube is the perfect place to find this sense of community because of its diversity in people, fandoms, and overall content. People can search for literally anything, and it will probably pop up. There's also the idea of participatory culture, that Shane will talk about, that allows fans and users to become involved in their community of choice.
I'm playing with the idea of the internet being a new form of global folk culture, in which culture, rather than being divided by national heritage, is now represented by fandoms or other online communities, and the motherland where these cultures converge is mass commercial media. The internet and all the communities that we've created here work in a way that's very similar to folk culture and follow a similar trajectory to the history of American folk culture. I think the internet is causing a renaissance of folk culture in reaction to the domination of the past several decades of mainstream mass media. And I use the word mainstream on purpose because I think there's a reason why this annoying hipster designation has stuck around for so many years so far. I think the public yearns for the type of individuation and equal opportunity focused on community rather than profit that folk culture provides, both in the past and transformed now into the vlogs and blogs and web series and fan art and fan fiction and live streams and communities that we create together online.